Good evening, guys. Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about the C8 Corvette and the fact that it is almost here, but there's some little details that have been leaking from GM, and I wanted to go over them with all of you guys out there today. Alright guys, so in previous uploads I've talked about the 2020 C8 Corvette likely to be called the Stingray, at least in the base configuration. And sure enough, GM has confirmed that it is going to be a Stingray for the base configuration that we're probably going to see in 2 days here. When that car comes rolling out onto the stage, it's going to likely be the base model. I doubt we're going to see anything else, at least not on the 18th. And it's going to be branded as Stingray, just like the C7 base model was. Now, it's kind of interesting. GM has actually slightly changed the Stingray logo, and I'll put a picture up here on the screen to show you. It looks a little more updated, of course, a little more aerodynamic looking, if you will, but ultimately, it is that Stingray moniker, and it's interesting that GM would have continued along with that since this is such a radical departure from any previous Corvette. Calling this a Stingray again after the C7 was a Stingray, it's an interesting twist. Even though it is one we saw coming, it's still strange that GM wouldn't have gone with a completely different rebranding of this car since the car itself is going to be completely different. Now, that's just for the base model. What has also come out, though, is an engine clarification for the Z06. So at this point, we'll have the base model Stingray, likely a Z06, and then probably a ZR1, just like we've gotten from the C7 generation. What will likely be in addition to that, though, or at least rumored, is a Zora edition, which is literally one step above the ZR1. There hasn't been much officially clarified on those levels, but just recently we heard some more whisperings saying that the Z06 engine is in fact going to be twin turbocharged. Now, if you recall back a couple uploads ago, I actually put out a video talking about the Z06 engine, and at that point it was all just rumors. On the midenginecorvetteforum.com, there's always been a couple people that claim to be close to the source, and they were suggesting that the Z06 was going to be a dual overhead cam, twin turbocharged, and have around 700 horsepower. Now, of course, 700 horsepower in the Z06, that's pretty fantastic. That's a great amount of power. As we all know by now, the base model Stingray is going to be around 530. It was rumored originally that Stingray was going to have a dual overhead cam engine, but it has come out since then that it's not likely to be dual overhead cam. It's still likely to be pushrod. And you can check out some of that information in my previous upload, which I'll link up here to the top right. But it comes down to the fact that when we saw the actual in-dash screen, it showed that the rev limiter was around 6,200 RPM, which is indicative of a pushrod engine versus the dual overhead cams typically rev out a little bit higher. So while that hasn't been officially confirmed, it is very likely at this point that the base model will be pushrod, but the Z06 is likely to be dual overhead cam, twin turbo, just to allow you to rev it out even further and get a little bit more power out of that car. Right now, the Z06 engine is likely to be called the LT7, like I said, twin turbocharged, but some of these details recently leaked and were found by the GM Authority website because of some of the 3D drawings of the engine. So while these CAD drawings were out there, no one really had found them until just recently. GM Authority got their hands on them and confirmed this LT7 is likely going to be the next engine we see in the C8 Corvette after the base model. One other addition that I thought was pretty cool was someone actually got a spy shot of the C8 Corvette's interior. And of course, we've seen the interior in a couple different lights, but this one actually shows us the digital dash display as well as the infotainment display. And the infotainment display looks huge. In the C7 Corvette, the infotainment center is 8 inches. This one looks like it's at least 10, maybe more. It's definitely big. This is the first time I've seen it actually turned on in any of the spy shots, and it's really interesting to see the way it's angled towards the driver, how large it is. It's going to be definitely interesting to see this thing in the flesh, so to speak. Now, of course, the 2020 C8 Corvette is going to be introduced in the Tustin hangar in California. If you guys haven't heard that yet, that was recently confirmed. It is Tustin, and that's where GM has done a lot of their stuff in the past. so it's not really a surprise. But at the same time, it is interesting to finally know the reveal location and exactly where it's going to be in less than 2 days. Definitely exciting times, guys. We're about to get this new Corvette. The C8 is coming. It's not even 2 days away at this point. It's going to be exciting times. I'm thinking about going live for the actual reveal. Let me know down in the comments below if that's something you guys would like to see or not. I'd like to be available to answer any questions for you guys as we watch live together. But at the same time, if that's not something you guys are interested in, that's totally fine. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you think of the idea. Another thing that just recently was officially confirmed from GM, I actually posted it up on the community tab right here on YouTube, but that was the steering wheel. GM officially confirmed that that steering wheel we saw in some of the earlier spy shots was in fact going to be the production wheel for this car. If you remember right, there was a lot of initial blowback from people online when they first saw that steering wheel. And one of the users on the mid-engine Corvette forum came out and said, oh, that's not actually going to be the wheel we get in the production model. Well, here it is. It's the exact same wheel. It is the one we're getting. GM has officially posted it on the C8 Corvette's website. So this is it. This is the wheel. I'll be honest with you, I was not 100% sold on it in the beginning, but it is actually growing on me, and I think it might be okay. Depending on the styling of the actual interior of this car and the exterior, this wheel might fit it perfectly. I know, it's just a steering wheel. It's not that big of a deal, but at the same time, it kind of is. When you're on the interior and you're driving, that's basically your center focal point for your entire trip. So it really should be something that fits with the interior of the car. GM's usually pretty good at doing this kind of stuff, so I don't doubt it. But at the same time, we won't know for sure for at least another day and a half or so. And lastly, GM has officially given us the link for the live stream. And of course, that will go live on the 18th. But I will include it in the description down below, but in case you don't want to check that, it's actually media.chevrolet.com/nextgencorvette. That will get you right to the page where you can live stream the reveal of this mid-engine Corvette. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. So if you have any other questions, shoot them in the comment section down below or send me an email, horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'd love to have you as part of the Horsepower Obsessed community. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.